Right. This is DJ Rem from Rock Addict Radio and Metal Devastation Radio, and I have Rocky from the band Prosevere on the line. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. What about yourself?
Other than the snow, yeah, it's not too bad. We're surviving, and I have power, so that's a bonus.
As they say, we will rebuild. So
yes. So why don't you start by introducing yourself and the other members of the band that are not with us today, if you don't mind.
All right, I am Rocky Griggs, and I'm the drummer. We also have Gary Seegers, who is lead vocals. We have Eric Wayne Ash. He is guitars and backing vocals, and Matt Riley, and he is backing vocals and bass.
Okay, so like we were talking about before we went live here, it's been a couple years since I've talked to you guys. Tell me what's going on with the band right now. What do you guys have planned and up your sleeve?
Well, we finished touring probably October of this year. It's been a crazy 2 years, and we went from being a kind of a local success thing to actually getting to do the national touring thing, which was pretty fun for us. We got to go out with some of our favorite bands, and we went from 200 seat clubs to 10,000 seat arenas. It was pretty fun. So
yeah, no doubt, that's awesome.
Yep. But we finished up touring, like I said, probably October. This past summer, we actually got to go out with some really good friends of ours, and in my opinion, probably one of the best bands around, Shinedown, and that was probably highlights of the band so far. But we finished up the tour, and we've been writing. We've taken some time off, and actually seeing the friends and the family that we talk so much about when we're on the road. So we're actually getting to spend some time with them, and we're just we're trying to get this record that we thought would take just a few months, and it is taking extremely longer than we thought it would. So. That's kind of what we've been up to. Okay.
And just before you called, Gary actually sent me a couple tracks. He sent me Bourbon and 1,000 Pounds, and I was checking out 1,000 Pounds, and very good stuff, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. That is a song that we've actually had for at least 2 years. I think that song we wrote right after the whole Burn the City process was done, and we were touring for a while, and we kind of wrote that song on the road, and we kind of slipped it into the set probably over the last year or so, and just to see what kind of response it got, and it got a really good response. So we back in March or April, I want to say, we I'm pretty sure you've heard of the band Devour the Day.
Yep.
Those guys, Blake Allison and all them, they are great friends of us. Of course, they used to be, Egypt Central, and they're from here in Memphis where we're from, so they're good friends of ours. And Blake is not only a very accomplished drummer and also now in Devour the Day, very accomplished singer, guitar player. He's a great songwriter. Most people don't know he wrote most of the Egypt Central material. And so he had some time off the road, and we were off the road for a little while, and he's getting into the whole producing and recording thing, and he said, man, I need to, get a couple bands in here and just, run some tunes to kind of home in my skills, if you will. And we said, well, man, we're off for a little while. You're off. We'll come in and we'll record a few songs. And 1,000 Pounds in Bourbon are a result of, us and Blake just kind of getting together and in his studio and throwing ideas back and forth, and just laying down some music, and to have recorded those things in a storage unit with basically like a portable Pro Tools rig, if you will, it come out pretty awesome sounding.
Yeah, I thought it sounded really good when I was listening to it. So definitely good job.
Yeah, but the Bourbon and 1,000 Pounds is part of a 3-song EP that we released last week, I believe, on the 13th, and it's kind of a prequel, if you will. I don't really know how else to put it. It's like I said, this full length record that we're working on, that we technically started back in October, it's just taken us so long because we really sat down and we wanted to make a full length record. Everything Prosevere has done to this point has been very time limited and on a crunch, and haven't had a whole bunch of time to really let anything sink in and do it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining in any way.
Right.
It has all worked out for the betterment of this band. But as soon as one opportunity we had came up, another opportunity would come up. So we were always on a deadline to get something kind of done. And on this record that we're in the making of right now, we actually have the time to really invest in this record and to get a lot of things out of it we feel like we haven't got to get out of a record yet. So, originally 1,000 Pounds and Bourbon were songs we probably weren't even going to release. They were just something we did with Blake and just for him to have something we did that was kind of fun. And the problem, of course, is since now that we realize we're going to be into the springtime of 2014 before this full-length record release, we said there's probably a lot of fans and people out there who are probably getting a little, antsy with us for not having released any new music because, Burn the City was a 2010 release, I believe. And, so now we're looking at 3 years without a bunch of new material out there. So we decided to kind of throw this 3-song EP out there and go, hey, we're still alive. We're still making music. Here you go. Here's something to kind of tide you over until, the springtime when we're actually able to get this full-length record done and put out there.
Yeah, very cool. And I'm going to just throw out there that everybody listening to this interview, if you go to Prosevere.com, you can actually download this 3-song EP or sampler or whatever you want to call it, and it's called The Damn Disaster, and it's there for free. So you can't beat free in good music.
Oh, that was a big thing to us. Right now with the music industry being the way it is, we really felt like so much has been given to us over the last year. We've had so many great opportunities and had so many great times that this is kind of a way to repay the people that have supported us through the way. Here's this. It's free. Enjoy it, listen to it, love it, hate it, whatever you want to do with it. But this is us kind of being like, we're going to give back what's been given to us, and we're fortunate for that. And that's just kind of like a thank you, if you will, to give it out there for free.
Yeah, definitely. It's very cool. So now that you guys are back from touring for the year and you're working on the new album, how often do you guys all get together and practice and stuff? I mean, do you still do that right now?
Oh yeah, it's the funny thing about writing is there's a lot of bands that plan this out. They say on X day or X days every week at the same time we're going to meet in this room and we're gonna hash these things out and get some music written. Well, and we've done that. The past records we've put out, that's exactly how we wrote them. This one, like I said, having the luxury of not really having a time crunch on it, we kind of just call each other up and say, hey, I got this really cool idea. Let's go work on it. So we, we'll get together when the first person calls and, we kind of write on that song. Or, we'll write independently because all 4 members in this band write. Whether somebody comes up with a guitar part or a drum part, or, a vocal melody, we kind of just email the ideas back and forth to each other, and then we kind of build off of that. Gary can play on his acoustic with a vocal line and send it to Eric, and then Eric can throw something over it and then send it to me, and I can throw something over it, and we send it to Matt, he throws something over it, and we technically have almost written a song just by email. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you guys are able to work that well together, you know what I mean?
It's, Prosevere is about, I think we're 7 we just passed the 7-year mark. We're officially been a band for 7 years, and we're all original members. You know, we're the same guys back in 2006 that we are today. So I think, you know, that's a thing that we just adapted to over the years. You know, we know each other well enough now. I mean, at least we should know each other.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, it's kind of, we figured out how, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, they'll ask us when we play live, I mean, how many hours a week do you guys practice to get that tight? And I say, well, it's not so many how many hours a week we practice. It's more or less, you know, 7 years worth of, you know, just getting to know who you're playing with. We can do things and don't have to say it, don't have to look at each other. We just know the other one's about to do it.
Right.
And it's like a feel. So that's the big thing. You know, you have so many bands out there that change members out like, you know, Dirty Underwear.
Yes, they do.
And so that's, you know, that leads to how tight or how, you know, loose your band sounds live. And that's something we're very fortunate to have in Prosevere is the original members. We have learned how to keep our mouths shut with each other when we know we don't need to talk, and we've also learned how to, you know, have the more unpleasant moments when things get loud with each other when they're needed to. But at the end of the day, you know, we can get into it pretty good, and then 10 minutes later, we're hugging, we're best friends out somewhere, grabbing a drink, and it's like it never happened. So.
Well, you know, when you're in a band, and especially with you guys being together for 7 years, I mean, you're family at this point. You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of how family has to work.
Oh, it's the best dysfunctional marriage you've ever had.
Exactly. So 7 years ago, this band started. What was the what got this band together in the beginning?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a funny story. I love telling this story because it's so dysfunctional that most people don't even believe it. They think we made it up. But Eric and Gary were in another band that was pretty successful in Memphis. You know, they had a lot of things going for them, and their drummer and bass player just walked in one day and go, "Hey, we're really not feeling this anymore. We want to leave and do something else music-wise. We're kind of tired of doing the active rock, you know, the heavy rock thing. We want to do something else." And literally just one day, they went from being a happy-go-lucky band to just the drummer and the bass player walk out on them. And I was playing in several different, you know, cover bands, and I had an original band I was playing in, and they had put up on Facebook that they were looking for a bass player and a drummer. So, of course, I replied saying, "Hey, I've seen you guys play a bunch of really great band. I'm interested in auditioning for you." And the first message I got back from them, you know, because, you know, social media and MySpace 7 years ago was the thing. You know, everybody has had those stupid profile pictures back then. And apparently me wearing a beanie and sunglasses made me look like I was a creep or something, I guess. Which so they politely declined me to audition. They said, "Hey, you just don't look like the kind of guy we're looking for." And so I was kind of disappointed, frustrated, you know, maybe even a little pissed off, if you will, at that. So I wrote it off. And then probably 2 weeks go by, and I get a Facebook message from them, and they're like, "Hey, you wouldn't still be interested in auditioning, would you?" And I was kind of like, "Well, I don't know. You know, the attitude doesn't seem to be there." And they're like, "No, just come on, just come out and audition." So I drove, and I lived a little bit of ways from Memphis at the time, so I took me about an hour drive up here to check it out, and they bailed on me. They didn't even show up, and they called me after I was sitting there for about 15 minutes to go, "Hey, things didn't really pan out. Sorry, you know, we're not going to be able to let this go down tonight." So my frustration and pissed offness, you know, went to a new level on
Right,
that.
it's completely elevated.
Exactly. So there again, I wrote it off, and then about a week after that, they called me back, and they said, "Hey, so, you know, we've already had 2 exchanges that didn't work out well, so how about we try to get this one more shot, you know, and I promise, you know, we'll show up," and all this other stuff. And I really was looking to be a part of something that could be, you know, something that could be, I hate to use the word successful because I don't want it to sound like I was just looking to be in, in a successful band, but I was looking for something that had potential to be something bigger than what I was in. And I'd seen these guys, and I knew that they had that potential behind them. They had the drive. They had the same motivation and drive to work hard and make a band successful that I had. So I gave it one more shot, and I showed up and to audition, and Gary was there, and Eric wasn't there. And so I kind of looked at Gary, and I was like, man, I learned all these songs. How are we supposed to, audition if there's no guitar player here to do it? He goes, Eric still doesn't, think that, you're going to be one of the guys. We've auditioned 200 drummers, and none of them really filled the spot we were looking for, and all this other stuff. He said, so I figured I'd come out here and just kind of let you play and go off of that. And I was a little weirded out by it. I was like,
right.
Hey, well, I'm here. I might as well, set the drums up and just play for an hour if I drove all this way. So I set the drums up, and I'm in there just tuning and, running a couple of, jams and stuff. And see, I'm a huge Seven Dust fan. I just love Seven Dust, and Morgan Rose, the drummer from Seven Dust, was like an idol for me when I was growing up. So I start jamming some Seven Dust tunes, just by memory, nothing playing, nothing at all, just me playing from what I remembered in my head. And at this point, I look up and I realize that I've been playing for probably 30 minutes or so, and like Gary never once stepped in the room. And I'm kind of like, man, this is crazy. I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Right.
So I got ready to pretty much pack all my stuff up, and I walked out. And like they had a rehearsal space in a room where a bunch of bands had a rehearsal space. So it's kind of like one of those hallways where there's just an infinite amount of doors.
Right.
And from like The Shining or something almost. So you open one of the doors and you look out, and I see Gary all the way at the end of the hallway on the phone, and I kind of walk up to him like, hey man, I guess I'm just going to pack my stuff up and go. He goes, oh no, dude, don't do that. Eric's going to be here in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, Eric decided to come. He goes, well, dude, he goes, I kind of listened to you from out here, and you're the dude, you're the guy, you're the one that's going to be our drummer. And I was like, well, I was like, I guess we need to wait on Eric to show up. And so Eric shows up. He kind of, just passes me and just, hey, what's up? I'm Eric. And walks in there and sets his stuff up. And, he kind of just looks me dead in the face. He goes, do you know this one song? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, well, we're going to play it. And so we play that song and we get done. And then he goes, all right, do you know this song? I said, yeah. So we play it. So all together, they sent me like 6 songs to learn, and we end up running through all 6 of them. Just one time each, not even, working on something, just straight through the songs. And we get done, and Eric looks at me and he goes, practices are on, Thursdays at 8 o'clock till, whenever we get done, I'll see you next week, and just walks out and leaves. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm in the band. So that's how I ended up in Prosevere. And, of course, Eric and Gary had already been together. And then Matt Riley, our bass player, he was his story is kind of similar to mine almost. He was a bass player in one of Eric's bands before the band that he was in, that which would become Prosevere. But we auditioned a bunch of bass players, and I was sitting in for the bass player auditions, and some really good local bass players came in, and I mean they did fantastic jobs, but they just, in one way or another, whether it be personality-wise, might not have fit or things like that. And they had one more show left to do as this other band that they were. So we kind of had to fill that show out before anything else could happen. And it got to probably like a week before this show, and it was kind of like, do or die time. We just got to get somebody in here to do this show. So he called Matt, and he was like, hey, man, I know you're not really into playing in bands and stuff anymore, but I need a bass player for one show, and I know you can pull it off. So he steps in, and we do this last show, and, that show gets done with, and about 2 weeks go by, and we all meet up again, and we were talking, and I was like, Matt, he's a pretty awesome bass player. I was like, he also, personality-wise, he seems like a good guy. I don't know why we wouldn't just ask him to come back. And Eric was like, well, he said he really just isn't interested in playing in bands anymore. And I was like, well, I mean, it doesn't hurt. Just give him a call and see if he's interested. Well, he said, I'm really, we called him up, and Matt was kind of like, well, I kind of live a busy life now, but I'll come and jam with you a couple of times until you find somebody else, just to have a bass player to work on stuff. And so he come in, and of course, after probably about a month of practicing with us and actually writing the first Prosevere record, he was working 2 jobs. He quit one of his 2 jobs to make time to do the band thing, because I guess it just inspired him to do it again. And so that's kind of the story. You know, we were kind of just thrown together, if you will, and it just worked. And, you know, like I said, that was 2006, and here we are 2013, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
That's really cool. So, and here you are 7 years later, everything working perfect.
Yeah.
So do you give the guys a hard time about your initial audition now still?
Oh, you know, I try to, but they're just better at giving me a hard time than I am at giving them a hard time.
Gotcha.
So so if I make the comment like, you know, hey, you know, remember, I'm the guy that, you know, like, put up with you, like, ditching me on an audition. They're like, well, you're the guy that had a creepy mustache, so what am I supposed to say? You know?
Right.
So you know, it we have fun with it. You know, it's not like a sore spot or anything. You know, we'll crack jokes at each other the whole time about it. And anytime somebody asks that story, and Eric's in the room, Eric, you know, sits there and goes, "Oh God, here's where I'm made to look like a total asshole." You know, so.
Well, it's awesome though. I mean, because you needed to go through that to get to where you are now. That's all.
Oh yeah, you know it's one of those where had it went any differently, it probably would have not resulted in what it is now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so what? Here's a question for you specifically. What got you into music growing up, or what kind of influences did you have, or have you had that made you want to do something like this and actually keep doing it?
All right, are you ready for the best story in radio then?
I'm always ready.
All right, here you go. This is I swear that one day this story is going to be published in a magazine somewhere, and I will get a phone call. Like, I'm waiting on the phone call from this guy. And when I tell you the story, you'll get what I'm talking about. But first of all, my dad is a very accomplished bass player. My dad played with the Coon Elders band, which here in the South, that was a huge, like, kind of like Southern rock band. They had like a gold record. And he also played bass for Jerry Lee Lewis. He played bass for B.B. King. He was a big touring musician for many years. Even when I was young, he didn't quit doing it until I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And my grandfather was also an accomplished guitar player. My grandfather used to play with Hank Williams Sr.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah, so I come from a long line of guitar players. So being the drummer, I was definitely the black sheep of the family.
Right.
So, because even my little brother is a very accomplished guitar player. So I don't know what happened in the gene pool there, but you had guitar players, bass players, and then me. I'm like the only drummer in the family. So, but to be honest, even having all of that musical influence, when I was young, music just never was a thing to me. I liked dirt bikes and motorcycles. And that was my thing growing up for the majority of my childhood. Well, I actually had a friend, and we used to like race little BMX bikes, in like a little kids league when we were younger. We were like 10 or so. And I had a buddy that me and him did that. Well, one night I was staying the night at his house, and his older sister and took us to like Blockbuster or something to rent movies. And we rented one of those, stupid movies you rent when you're like a kid. I can't remember. I think it was like Austin Powers or something when it first came out. But she had rented a movie called That Thing You Do. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have not seen it, but I know which movie you're talking about.
Yes, and it's basically That Thing You Do is a movie about a fictitious 60s rock band that was supposed to be the American version of the Beatles. And it was written and directed by Tom Hanks. And it had like Tom Evans Scott playing the drummer of the band. And the drummer was the main character of the movie. And it was also, of course, become the main character of the band. And essentially because the band was they played like, little sappy love songs and stuff. And their original drummer like broke his arm the day of their, Battle of the Band show. So they bring like Tom Evans Scott in to fill in, and he takes it from like a slow ballady type song. He turns it into like, a pop song in the middle of the set while they're playing the song. And, the band's freaking out on him going, "What are you doing, man?" And they get done, and the song ends up winning them the Battle of the Band. And then, of course, all the bars in town are instantly like, "I got to have you guys. I'll pay you $100 a night to come play." And within 2 months, they go from a little band that wins a talent show to being like having the seventh, song on the Billboard charts in the country. So they go from nothing to being this huge band in literally the span of 2 months with this drummer that literally came in exactly 2 months ago. And it's the whole movie's kind of from his perspective of how the music industry works. But I remember we were forced to watch this movie by his older sister because, she was bigger and older, and we watched her movie first. So
right.
we had to sit through this movie, and I can remember going, "Dude, drummers are so cool. I want to be a drummer." Like, that makes a drummer cool. I want to be one. So I remember going home the next day and being like, "Dad, I think I want to be a drummer." And then, of course, he's like, "Well, I want to be a drummer. I can teach you how to play guitar and bass." I'm like, no, I want to be a drummer. So that Christmas, they got me a cheap drum kit, and they set it up for me. And I think it only took me about a week or two before I was popping in cassettes and CDs and learning how to play the songs on them.
Uh-huh.
And I took to it really fast with no teaching, no lessons, no nothing, just on my own took to it. In which, then my dad was kind of like, "Oh, he's serious about this." So, as I progressed and, and all that other stuff, I went into school band, in which school band really helped, define my skills as a drummer. I ended up becoming an all-state musician. I was in, the marching band. I was in indoor drum corps where they did all the fancy stuff like in the movie Drumline. And actually went on. I was offered a full scholarship marching band stuff to go to the University of Arkansas. And just when I was offered that, I could say at one point I probably should have took it, but I really, really wasn't interested in college. I really wasn't interested in, in all that. I wanted to play drums and be in a rock band. And
right.
So when that happened, I went to school. I went to the famous Ardent Studios here in Memphis, which, everyone from, Elvis, ZZ Top, Three Doors Down actually recorded their debut record at Ardent. I mean, more platinum and gold records on the wall than you could imagine. And they actually, I interned there for probably 2 years, and they taught me how to be a studio engineer. So that was kind of like my schooling after schooling, if you will. And through that, I made a lot of connections and, really honed in on skills on how to run sound and how to mix records and stuff like that. And so that's kind of like my little musical background there. But there was no band that got me into music. It wasn't like the first, I don't have that cool story like, "Oh, dude, I was doing nothing and then Metallica came on the radio and I was like, oh my God, I've got to play rock music." No, mine's because of Tom Hanks. So one day I'm hoping that Tom Hanks calls me and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I've never heard that before, and that's pretty cool that somebody was inspired to become a musician from watching my movie." So
yeah, that is really cool, and hopefully he'll hear that story and actually do that. I mean, I would think that would inspire him,
Oh yeah, because I mean, I don't really hear that story. No one really says they watched the movie and it wanted them to become a musician. Mostly it's the first time you heard Nirvana or the first time you heard Metallica or Kiss or somebody of that epic level in music. And no, mine was watching the Tom Hanks movie. So
hey, that story, I love it, dude. I love it. Because you took that passion. I mean, and the fact that you were able to learn the music and the drumming. I mean, to do it by yourself without any teaching. I mean, obviously that's a gift that most people don't have.
Yeah, that's that's still to this day one of the things I think that, there again, not to be egotistical at all. I know us guys in bands, we get, told that, we're all a bunch of egotistical assholes. And to some extent, when you're doing a show, you kind of have to have it just because you have to have that on-stage appeal to the people. But, this band, we're really not a bunch of egomaniacs. We're actually really down to earth, really. And most people that meet us and hang out with us will tell you that I've never met a bunch of guys who just wanted to be normal and treated everybody the same no matter what happens. But that thing that I have where I could just pick up on stuff, that tends to be one of the things that really separates me, because I can play by ear. I can almost listen to anything you play me and play it just about soon after. I mean, if you have handed me a song I've never heard before, let me listen to it one or two times. Probably me playing it one or two times, I've got the entire song figured out and play it like I've been doing it for years. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you know what? There's a huge difference between people in bands that are egotistical and guys that are confident in what they do. And I know you guys are on the confident side. So.
Well, I appreciate that.
So, okay. Where is a good place for people to find out more about the band? What social networking and websites are you guys using right now?
Man, we're using all of them. That's the crazy thing. Of course, if you go to just www.prosevere.com, that's that links to every one of them. From our website, you can go to the Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Vine, whatever else. We probably have stuff I don't even know about. So, but just going to that one will link you pretty much to everything else.
Right. Sorry. And I also noticed on your website you also have merchandise, T-shirts, and all that kind of stuff for sale too. So.
Oh yeah, we've got everything. You can buy the albums, whether you want to buy them through CD Baby, Rhapsody, or iTunes. I think we're available on all three of them. You can actually, you can get the hard copies of the albums through that if you want to, or you can just get the digital downloads. We have beer koozies, T-shirts, wristbands. I think we have a little bit of everything on there. That's one thing. We got a little bit of everything. We might not have a lot of everything, but we have at least a little of everything. So.
Very good. And obviously, next year when you guys get back on the road, coming to a live show and buying stuff at the show also will be an option, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yes, of course. We always bring full merchandise with us. It probably takes up more space than our music gear does. So, and, of course, I know you guys are up there in Michigan, and we actually, with Shinedown, was our first time getting up to Michigan. And what a beautiful place you guys have, man. I've never been somewhere as pretty as Michigan. And I've told that to many people, and even some friends we have from Michigan, and they're like, really? I'm like, trust me. I was like, we've been a lot of places, and Michigan tends to probably one of the highest ranked places we've been. So,
where did you guys play when you were in Michigan?
Sault Ste. Marie. We were right there by Canada.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is funny. So where in Sault Ste. Marie did you play? What was the venue?
We played the casino up there.
Oh, okay, Vegas Kewadin.
No, it wasn't that one. Well, it might have been that one. I can't remember. It's one that had a big theater in it because, of course, we were with Shinedown on that tour, and there was this huge theater inside this casino, and it was I can't remember the name of the casino for the life of me, but I can tell you that we have casinos here, around the Memphis area, and they were nowhere near as nice as this casino we were in up there. So.
Well, I have to tell you, here's the funny thing about that, because that's my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. Sault Ste. Marie. Yep.
You definitely grew up in a place that was very attractive to me, because I can remember us, kind of driving up there, and we came from Hinckley, Minnesota. So it was like Hinckley, Minnesota, and then we went it was a 9 or 10 hour drive, I think, from there to Sault Ste. Marie, and it was probably one of the most awesome drives I've ever had, because there's just lakes and trees and mountains.
Right.
And this was July.
Uh-huh.
It's the middle of July, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's 39 degrees.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Amazing. I think that night we played at 8 o'clock that night, and the sun, of course, was still out, but I think it was only like 74 degrees. And I was like, dude, in the summertime, this is the place to be, because in Memphis, if it's not 102 or 103 degrees, it's not hot, you know?
Right. Yep.
So, you know, to go from being in Memphis at, you know, a good 102 degrees to going up there and being, you know, 75-ish, I was like, oh, I can live with this. This will be fine, you know?
Well, that's so cool that you played in my hometown. And I did not know that coming into this interview, so that's really sweet.
Man, that's like I said, Minnesota. When we were in Hinckley, that was a very nice place. Sault Ste's a very nice place. Of course, you know, Sault Ste, you know, being right there by Canada, you get to meet a lot of very nice Canadian people, and I will have to say, they are some of the nicest people I've met. The Canadian people are. I was really taken back by how extremely polite they are. And also, another funny thing we ran into was we actually got paid in, you know, Canadian money. So the casino actually exchanged out their Canadian money to American money for us, because when people started handing us Canadian money, we were like, can we take this?
Right.
You know? And then, of course, one of the nice people that works for casinos, when they saw this, they kind of walked over and they said, just charge them the same price in Canadian money that you would charge for U.S. money, and we'll exchange it for you later. And we were like, oh, well, that's really cool. So
yeah, and then you ended up with a little extra money, because American dollar is worth a little more than the Canadian right now. So
yeah, that was the funny thing, is I think we did make a little extra money on purpose, but we had no clue. You know, I think that's the first time we've ever played somewhere and had to exchange money. So
right.
So that was the first. So.
Very, very cool, man. So before I forget, I also want to I want to thank Shauna O'Donnell for, I hope she's not trying to shank me. I want to thank her for hooking us up once again. She's awesome.
Oh, she is so awesome. She's been doing work for us for years now. And, I mean, you know, she's a very awesome person. She's just a sweetheart. I don't think there's too many, you know, I mean, I don't know if there's a mean bone in her body. Every time, you know, that we've ever gotten to hang out or be around each other, she's just such a nice person. And, you know, she's so nice it almost comes off scary. So, you know, sometimes you don't know. It's like, is this just a trick or what's up? You know?
Right. Well, the thing that I love about Shauna is that, because I've been working with her for probably a couple of years now with her setting bands and stuff, is that, and the reason that we're kind of drawn to each other for the stuff we do, she's in it for the same reasons as I am. I mean, my intent with everything I do is I'm trying to help bands get exposure, trying to everything I do, I don't get paid for anything I do. Everything I do costs me money, and that's fine. I have my day job. This is my, you know, this is like the fun stuff I get to do, for lack of better words to say. And she has always been, and I've always felt that she's in it for those same kind of reasons. So, and those are the kind of people that I look for when I'm looking for people to find me bands.
And, you know, when you say stuff like that, I have to give such a huge, you know, thank you to you guys and you know, all the people that, you know, have the internet radios, or even that work in, you know, terrestrial radio, or, you know, anybody in general that's out there looking out for bands. You know, it's without you guys, we would be nothing. I mean, you know, Prosevere really, you know, got its radio start from the internet radios in the very small, independently ran terrestrial radio. You know, we really made our stamp in the B markets, if you will.
Right.
So, you know, it was, you know, the small markets and the internet radio that really helped us to grow. Without you know, people like you, we would never be where we're at. So, you know, that's there again. That's a huge thank you from our side, because you would think in the age of modern technology that we have, with the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, that, you know, it'd be really easy to get your name out there, but in turn, it oversaturated the market with everything. You know, if you go on YouTube, you know, you have cat videos and, you know, all kinds of stuff, and, you know, you get really drowned out. And of course, I think just talent-wise in general, you know, I mean, whether you're a musician, an actor, a skateboarder, any of these things, if you will, that take talent, that take time and practice, we're all really being, how's the best way to say this? We're really being pushed out of, all these markets like Facebook and YouTube and stuff by the cat videos, by the guy dressed in the Santa Claus suit who falls off the roof and hits the car. These are the things that we're getting drowned out, and people, don't really tend to care as much about talent and the things that we do anymore because just the oversaturation with everything else. And when we have markets like you that are really pushing us and that are pushing all these great artists and these people who are trying to do something, it's a thank you that we will never be able to repay.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's something that I enjoy to do, and I know most people like me in this business that do what we do, it's because it's the enjoyment. You know what, the best feeling for me is when I meet a band or talk to a band, and then they come to my area and I get to go to their show and meet them in person. Boom, done. 100% worth everything to me.
Well, we'll definitely make sure that happens, and hopefully 2014, and if not 2015, we will be back in the Michigan area. We loved it when we were here this year, and people up in the Michigan area, still really believe in rock music and active rock music, and so we will definitely be making a return trip up to that area as soon as we can.
Yeah, I hope you do. There's a really, really cool venue. It's a small venue. It's in Battle Creek, Michigan. It's called Planet Rock. And I'm telling you, man, that place, they just put a new sound system in. The whole place is done off. All the walls are done off in like a chalkboard material. Every band that comes there signs their name or draws their logo. There is almost no room in this place for a band to even draw their logo now. So many bands have been there.
That is awesome, and Battle Creek. We've had a lot of friends go up there and play Battle Creek, and they've had nothing but good things to say about the Battle Creek area and the fans that come out to the show. So I would say that it's a very high possibility that we will be coming to Michigan in probably the Battle Creek area. So
that would be very cool. Do you know the band Pistol Day Parade? Do you know those guys?
We know of them.
Okay.
We've actually never gotten to meet in person, but I believe we've exchanged some, conversation with the band through, internet and stuff like that. But yes, we've definitely heard of those guys, and nothing but good things, of course.
Yeah, well, they're another band that Shauna works with, and the only reason I asked is because they just December 7th, we for a local internet radio station, me and some guys started. We did it's called Smash Radio. We did like a launch party for it. And Shannon was actually able to get these guys, which was amazing on her part. But amazing, they actually drove over from Detroit to headline our show for us that we put together. It was so cool. Oh man,
that's awesome. Like I said, we would love to do something like that too. Like I said, we want to be back up in that area. So when we get the touring machine that is Prosevere ready and geared up to tour. This summertime, we'll probably have to come up there and stop by and see you guys.
Yeah, I hope you do, because I'll bring me and my friends, and we'll definitely come jam with you, man.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to it.
So speaking of live shows, when people come to a live show for you guys, what should they expect? What kind of experience are they going to get from you?
You know what? The thing that you can expect from Prosevere is to see a rock and roll show. You're going to hear loud music. You're going to have loud guitars. You're going to have loud vocals. You're going to have loud everything. It's going to be loud. I guarantee that. And it's going to be real. We pride ourselves in the fact that we have put in our time in practicing and stuff. So there's no DAT tracks. There's no backing tracks. What you hear is what we're playing. And that is one thing that we have really based ourselves on. Is with all the music in the bands out there that run all these backing tracks and all this other stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking down to these guys. We have a bunch of bands that we are friends with that do the exact same thing, and they're great bands to go see. And for them, it works. However, for us, we like to keep it real. We want you to see us and go, oh my God, that's one of the best bands I've ever seen, and we can do that without having all that other stuff.
So what
So,
I've been noticing with talking to bands lately, and they've been telling me basically the same thing you are, is how a lot of bands are starting to go to that kind of trend with all the pre-recorded stuff. What's going on with that? Why do you think that's becoming popular?
well, there's a conservative answer, and then there's an asshole answer to that one, and I'll try to keep it in the middle. The a lot of bands now, and this isn't the band's fault. This is in my opinion, this is what music is, if you will. All the music you hear on the radio today is really overproduced music. There's a lot of production value that goes into these records, and there again, I'm not talking down on that. It works. We've experimented a little bit with that, having the production stuff on the records, and to us, when we're making a record, we want some of those production things, whether it be strings or piano, stuff that we necessarily can't do live, but it sounds great on a record.
Right.
But at the same time, when we put those things in there, we know that we're not going to run the backing tracks live. So that song has to be able to stand up live without that, just as much as it does on the record with it. And that's kind of like where we draw our line. If we can't do it live without that, well, then we're not going to put it in there because
that makes sense.
That's just where that's just where we draw our line. However, if we have a string part in a song on a record, but the song stands alone fine without it when we play it live, well, then that's okay because the song doesn't lose anything that way live. And that's, like I said, that's just kind of where we draw our line. There's a lot of bands who bring those backing tracks, and they bring the strings or the piano parts, and they do that live, and that fills their sound out, makes them sound bigger, and I'm all for that. A lot of bands do that these days. They have to do it. It's a necessity, especially a lot of these larger bands that have top 40, top 10 singles. When you hear a song and it opens up with a piano part, but yet your band doesn't have a piano player, people expect to hear that piano part.
Right.
I get that, and that's fine. Like I said, we're not against it. We're not saying that any band that does it, is not a real band because, like I said, we have friends that do it and do it great, and I would never talk bad about it. It's just not our thing. However, there are some bands that it's a crutch, and they don't just have the strings or maybe a backing guitar part. They start throwing vocals.
Oh, wow, that's not cool.
And, and a lot of times it's backing vocals, and that's okay, to back your lead singer up, but then sometimes you have it with the lead vocals on there because maybe your singer can't pull it off live, or maybe, for whatever. And there again, I understand. It's a cool little trick to have if you're touring for 3 months and your singer's sick for 3 days and can't sing. Throw that backing track up there, and, you can pull the show off, and you get to go on without having to cancel a show. I understand there's a necessity for it. It's and like I said, I can't say this enough. It's not a bad thing. It's not going to ruin music. It's just another tool that musicians and bands use. Sometimes they use it for effect, and then sometimes they use it as a crutch. Depending on who you are and your purposes for using it, of course, determine the outcome. But we, like I said, that was a thing with us. We have toured for that long straight, and we've been sick, and we've barely been able to talk or to move. I can tell you that back in 2009, I caught mono on tour. Now, I will tell you and promise you that it was not from doing anything that we can't talk about on the air. I don't know how.
Hey, I'm not judging, man.
I don't know how I caught it. I just know that I can remember being really sick, and I was like, I've got to go to a doctor or something, guys. I can't hardly move. And so one day before a show, I go to the doctor, and they do the test, and they're like, yeah, you've got mono. And then, of course, everybody looks at me, and they're like, oh, you got mono. And
Right.
I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I promise it's not what you think,
Yep.
So, but, and of course, mono lasts forever.
Yeah.
It takes like a month to get rid of. So, for an entire month of a tour, I had mono, and it was probably the most miserable month not only the most miserable month on tour, it's probably one of the most miserable months in life up to this point. because you could wake up in the morning and feel fine, and you could go eat lunch and be fine, and then about 2 hours before you're supposed to play, it's like death is impending upon you. You just all suddenly lose all your energy. You get sick. You can't keep anything down. And then you go up there and you're miserable playing. You about pass out. You get off stage. You go lay down and take an hour nap, and then you get up at about 11 o'clock at night, before the show's even done with, and you feel fine and nothing's wrong with you. And you're like,
what the heck?
Yeah, you're like, what the hell, man? So that was, and of course the guys in the band, anytime that story comes up, they laugh and they go, they tell me I don't realize that month was probably the best shows I ever played. So, they're like, dude, that was probably the best you've ever played. Including the part when you fell off the drum stool off the stage. That part was the best. So, and that actually did happen. I technically fell off the drum kit one night. Luckily, it was the end of a song, so it didn't mess anything up, but it happened. So
yeah, well, things happen, man, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
They say it's funny things happen when you party on tour. So
exactly. So the next question you've kind of already answered, but I'm going to ask anyways. What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you guys at a live show you've done?
Actually, I got a better story than that one as far as that goes. So, I'm going to get in trouble for telling this story, but here we go. Eric, our guitar player, was actually not with us. We had a short, like a week-long run I think we had to do. And at the time, Eric was on the road with Devour the Day filling in for their guitar player. So it was one of those things that we got about 2 weeks for us to go out and do the run. And then Eric kind of comes up to us and he goes, hey, man, I know we got like 4 shows to do, but Devour the Day asked me to go out on the road with them and fill in because their guitar player is sick, and I really want to go do it. So is there any way I can go do that and you guys get to fill in for me? And I'm like, so you're filling in, so now I have to get a fill-in. Why can't we just get a guy to fill in for them and then everything's good in the world?
Right.
Now we're having like 2 fill-in situations. But Blake and all the guys in Devour the Day, like I said, being really great friends of ours, we were like, no big deal. One of my old guitar players from another band is a very awesome guitar player. So he, I called him up, and he more than wanted to go out and do it. So, Eric left about a week before we did to go out with Devour the Day, and then, of course, about a week after that, Austin, our good buddy, filling in for Eric, come in, and we went off on our dates. Well, we were in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, which is a very small town, very small population, but they have an independently ran radio station there. And as far as a rock and roll town goes, man, it's one of the best. That town's probably our biggest market. We always sell out everything we ever do there. And once a year, they have this big festival they do. And so we were down there to do this big festival. And, of course, we've got Austin with us who's never really, been on tour or anything else like that. So he's kind of loving life,
right.
Enjoying everything while we're out there. He gets hammer drunk. Man, I mean hammer drunk. And, of course, he's walking around being like, hey, that girl over there is pretty cute. And I'm like, yeah, 50 she is. Anyways, there is a girl who has kind of been following us around all night. And she was a sweetheart girl. I don't know what she thought or expected or anything, but she was just hanging out with us. And so we're out there, the night's getting late. We're trying to load everything up, to go to the hotel room and, get some sleep. And all of a sudden, like, her friend, I guess is what you would call her, shows up. And they start arguing. And these 2 girls kind of arguing while we're standing there. And then the other girl's boyfriend comes up, and he's trying to get her. And he was like, because you're talking this. And so basically the girl that had been following us all night, her friend is accusing her of hitting on her boyfriend. And we're like, oh, this is going to be epic, right? Well, it turns out that the girl that was following us, her friend saying that she was hitting on her boyfriend, well, her boyfriend also turns out to be like the girl that's been hanging out with is like her uncle.
Oh, wow.
So she's not only accusing her friend of talking to her boyfriend, but her boyfriend who happens to be her uncle. And we're like, is this really happening? Like, is this like somebody's playing a joke on us? Like, this isn't real. This doesn't happen. You know?
Right.
And it's funny because I really think we convinced ourselves it was a joke, and like this was some kind of thing that these guys were pulling on us. Well, eventually the guy grabs his girlfriend. He's like, "We're leaving. Come on." And he goes to walk off, and apparently this guy was in some kind of motorcycle gang or something. I don't know. And that's what he was running around saying. And he walked off, and she was still over there, and he turns around and goes, "Hey, old lady," and like snaps his finger. And she like about faced and just turned and like marched off instantly when he said that. So for a little while, a running joke between the band guys were whenever somebody was talking and we wanted them to like just show, we'd be like, "Hey, old lady," and snap our finger, and they would just kind of like about turn face and walk off. But so the story gets even wilder though. So they walk off, and the girl's sitting there, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she would accuse me of doing this." And, you know, we're kind of at that point of like, look, we just want to go to the hotel room, you know? And then it's kind of like you heard it, but you hear the sound of somebody running. And then you turn around, and that other girl is now running full speed at the girl that we were just talking to. And she was probably, 50 feet away, and she is running full speed. And her full speed is like watching somebody run in slow motion. It's like maybe it was us that thought it was slow motion. I don't know. But at any moment, one of us could have jumped in the middle and stopped what was about to happen from happening. But we didn't.
Why would you do that? Come on.
I mean, it was kind of, we probably could have kept this from going down, but we just kind of watched because we didn't know what to do. And she just, like, had her arm out ready to swing, full speed running at this girl's face. In the epic moment when the fist is right about to hit the face, she completely misses her face by, like, an inch. Like, just this full-on swing around and full speed run, and just misses the whole face. And basically just run face-to-face into each other.
Awesome.
So, and then they hit the ground, and then they go to fighting. So, of course, what do? We grab, a couple of us grab one, and a couple of us grab the other one, and we're trying to pull these two girls apart, just to keep from something bad happening, even worse than what has already expired, basically. And we're pulling these two girls apart, and they're pulling each other's hair and their clothes, and all this goodness. Well, finally, the other chick's boyfriend, who happens to be the uncle of the other chick, craziness, he comes over there, and he just looks at her, and he does the whole, like, old lady thing again to her. She just kind of, like, snaps into place like nothing was ever happening. And he was like, "All right, we're leaving." And they're getting ready to leave, and then the girl that was talking to us, her parents pull around in the car. And the parents get out, and they see what's going on. And instead of being, like, all pissed off and, like, the dad ready to get on to this other dude, the dad goes over there and starts apologizing to the motorcycle dude. He's like, "I'm sorry, we didn't mean this to happen. We don't want any kind of repercussions. We love your family. Like, don't hurt my family," type stuff. And I'm like, it's real? It was such a surreal thing to watch because it's just like the stuff you hear about, like watching like Sons of Anarchy or something.
Right.
And it's like taking place right in front of us right now. And so the parents put the girl in the back of the car, kicking and screaming while apologizing to this guy. And then about 5 minutes, everybody just clears out, and we're all back there alone, finishing loading the trailer and stuff up. And we're just kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this, but I think we need to go drink a beer or something somewhere.
You're like, did this just happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the craziest stories we have because, I mean, really being in the rock and roll touring thing, it's really a whole lot of nothing that happened. I mean, I can tell you that, when we were lucky enough to go out with, like, the guys at Shinedown and do the arenas and stuff, I mean, it was not, it's not crazy. You hang out, you talk about, how old your guitars are, and and hey, you want to go grab some Taco Bell, and that's kind of really what happens. There's not a whole bunch of partying and stuff. It doesn't exist, especially with guys like our buddies in Shinedown. They're a very professional band. They are some of the nicest, most professional guys you ever meet. They want to make sure that when they go out there and they play, they're putting on the absolute best show that they can put on for you. So there's not a bunch of getting drunk and doing stupid things. They get done, they go to sleep, they wake up in the morning, they work out twice a day. They are going to make sure that when you see them, they're in the best shape and sounding the best they could when you see them. And, of course, we, taking suit for them, we've started doing the same thing. We've started getting in better shape and exercising and, eating right. Because, being out with them and seeing how they do it really inspired us to be that professional about it. If you're going to go out there and expect people to pay to see your show, you want to put on the best absolute show you can for them. So, that really inspired us to kind of take suit. But that's really what happens on tour. It's, every night is not some, like dazed and confused party that happens and you wake up in the morning and go, hey, let's do it again. It's really not that exciting. So for us, that night was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. There's a band. I had a similar kind of conversation with a band over in Europe. Or actually, they're Germany. They're called Van Canto. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I don't think so, but now I might have to check them out.
They're an a cappella metal band. They do use drums, but everything else, all the guitar sounds, everything they make with their they do it themselves vocally.
That's awesome.
And they told me basically where I was getting at is the same kind of story. They're like, everybody says, the rock star life and all this partying. They're like, we can't afford to do that. They're like, we do a show. They're like, we don't even drink, because our voices are so important for everything we do. They're like, we have to just live a normal life and sing. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's really. I mean, that's exactly the way this thing works. That's exactly how the thing works with us, because we, actually, our singer Gary, he quit smoking probably about 6 or 7 months ago, and it was from being out on the road with a Shinedown and seeing, how well Brent takes care of his voice, and he was never like a heavy smoker. He wasn't one of those 2 or 3 packs a day guys, but every once in a while he'd smoke cigarettes. So he quit touching cigarettes at all, and cut, pretty much almost all the drinking out. So, we're trying to become a very healthy, better in shape band. And that was one of the things we did. And you know what? That does make sense. It's hard to be on the road and turn a profit when you're drinking it all the same night.
And I know, because I've been to some live shows where I've watched the band drinking, and it's like, and you're like, okay, you probably just lost money tonight. But hey, I mean, to each their own. That's cool.
Well, it's. I think that also has to do with how long you've been a band and how long you've been doing it. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you we're perfect. The first few years we were a band, I'm pretty sure that our profit was measured in empty beer bottles.
Right. No, yep.
But you live and you learn, and every time you go out, and there again, I have to say, getting the opportunity to go out with some of these bands we've been out. We've been out with Shinedown, Seven Dust, Papa Roach, Godsmack, all these bands that are, platinum, arena selling bands.
Yeah.
But Bush, we actually got to go with Bush. How many bands really get to say that, I mean, you got to go out and, hang out with Gavin Rossdale and all those other guys. It's such a cool experience, but that's something that really helped mold us into to being more professional, watching how these guys treat it, because, I mean, you don't get a better view into the life of it than actually being there.
Right.
Instead of just, going, oh, man, we got to be with all these cool bands, we took everything we could from the experience. Everything we could learn and pick up, we really grasped onto that and took it with us. And I think that's another thing that, why we've been able to make it this far, while we've been able to stay together this long and push like we have, because it's a constant learning experience. We, the day that we feel like we've learned everything we could will be the day we stop progressing.
Right. And the fact that you get to play with these other bands, I mean, I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't learn from it. I mean,
Of course, I mean, that's, there again, I would tell any band that's, that's up and coming and just starting, and they get an opportunity to play with some of the more, they don't even have to be these big platinum artists. Just playing with a band that's been around for a few years and been there, done that, you can learn so much from that experience, and trust me, it takes a lot of pride to be able to say that you don't know everything.
Exactly.
So once you can come to that conclusion and go, hey, I don't know everything. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, and anything that I can learn and pick up from is going to benefit me. That's the day that your band and you as a person really starts to grow.
Yep, very good. Great advice. So now is the most important question of the interview, so I hope you're ready.
All right.
Who in the band spends the most time in front of a mirror before you guys go on stage?
Wow. You know what? Actually, I was just, walking past Gary, and he overheard that, and he actually said to me, me. He's going to say that it's me, but I'm going to say that I might spend more time doing my hair. However, Gary does take a lot longer in the shower. But no, we all of us, I'll have to say that we're not vain, but we might spend a few extra minutes making sure we're fine looking. I'll go that far.
Very good. Well, tell Gary I said, yo, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? He said, what's up, man?
Very cool. Okay. Anything else you would like people to know about Prosevere that I have not asked you? Anything that we've missed?
I mean, all I can say is that you've never heard of us. Please go to our website, go to our Facebook page, Twitter, all that stuff. Like us. I mean, if you want to, you think we're good, like us. If you don't, that's your own opinion. But also, you can keep up with everything through the website www.prosevere.com. The 3 song "The Damn Disaster" is available for free download, and probably April or May, the new full-length record will be released, and we will be touring and promoting that thing. Heavily, you'll probably get sick of hearing of it and how much we're gonna promote it. So just everybody kind of keep your ears open, and look for the springtime of 2014 for the new full-length album to be released.
Very cool. Well, I know I personally look forward to the new album coming out, and I look forward to getting to play those. Until then, the tracks that Gary sent me today, I will be playing them immensely for you guys. So I'll do my part. Give me about a week or so. This interview will be edited and up on my YouTube channel, so it'll also be available for everybody to help share and spread the word.
Well, man, we appreciate it, and like we like saying around here, a bunch of dudes with beards in a van will be coming to a city near you soon.
Look forward to it for sure. Okay, One last thing to ask real quick is I would love a couple radio liners if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So the first one, this is Rocky from Prosevere, and you're listening to rockaddictradio.com.
All right. Hey, guys, this is Rocky from Prosevere. You're listening to rockaddictradio.com.
Okay, second one, same thing, but you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
All right. Hey, guys, this is Rocky from Prosevere. You're listening to MetalDevastationRadio.com.
And then the last one will be, this is Rocky from Prosevere, and you're listening to DJ REM.
Hey, guys, this is Rocky from Prosevere, and you are listening to DJ REM.
Okay, man. Thanks again for everything. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking an hour out of your day. I hope I didn't know it was going to go this long, but I'm glad it did. It was a very fun interview. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, no problem at any time.
So, yeah, make sure the rest of the guys, you tell them I said hello, and hopefully we'll see you soon live.
Oh, definitely. I'll let them know, and we appreciate you greatly, sir.
All right. Take care, man.
You too. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.